I would say that try that in a small town if you have the images of Black Lives Matter protests in it. Try that in a small town. I would say, well, you guys did the exact same thing at the Capitol, and why don't you just use that footage?
What do you mean by you guys?
The rednecks, the small town people.
Welcome everybody to my favorite place in the world. This is where I grew up. This cabin my dad built, and he did it all by himself. In an undisclosed location deep within the mountains, North Carolina. Here's where the magic happens. I don't know much about tractors, right? I have to bush hog this entire field. Can I do it? The tractor overheated. I have to try and fix it. I don't know anything about tractors. It requires critical thinking, goal, and obstacles. So I had this debate last night. The argument that these people were making, they presented me this tweet saying, yes, this justifies why Jordan Peterson should have his license removed.
I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, this was the one tweet that
This is it? This is all you have?
Well, I put another one in.
I feel like this is like easily sufficient. Yes.
I think you're being a little rude when you say like, this is all you got. I think that's a little bit aggressive.
No, but Warren isn't mentioning it like, oh yeah, he's just stating a fact. What I think Jordan Peterson is trying to say is that I get uneasy with when people talk about overpopulation because it suggests that people are surplus, right? He's trying to point out how ridiculous that is when he's saying, well, you're welcome to leave, knowing no one is going to do that, trying to point out the hypocrisy of making that argument. I think he's trying to say that, and that type of language makes him uneasy. Mm-hmm. He said this in a snarking way. That's a good point. He's kind of acknowledging the stupidity of this logic. He's acknowledging that you're looking at humanity as though the solution is the removal of humanity. That's so silly, and he's trying to point out how silly that is. You're absolutely right. He could, like, I guess I feel like Anarcho's right that he could have said it, like, in a better way, right? Possibly, but does he have the right to say this is the question? Not could he have said it in a different way that you like more? Of course he could. They then use that in this debate, claiming that is justification because he's a therapist and he's telling someone they should kill themselves. Where does he say they should kill themselves? He's saying, someone types on Twitter, you have the ability to end your life, which is true.
Yeah. Yes.
What's your point? Like, no, I don't think that would warrant him being sent before a tribunal or relicensed or retraining or having his license revoked. The person I was debating literally said, well, if he took that out of his Twitter bio, then it wouldn't be an issue.
So because he goes on Twitter and in his Twitter bio, he says like he's a clinical psychologist, which is a protected term.
And that just indicates how nonsensical this logic is. Oh, really? So all it takes is removing that from the Twitter bio.
It's that he's representing himself as a clinical psychologist in these cases. If he just like put what a lot of people put on top of their Twitter, which is just like, my opinions are my own, I am not representing, like any professional body or anything like that. I think that might almost be sufficient just to be like, okay, yeah, he's not representing himself as a clinical psychologist.
So if Jordan Peterson put that in his bio heading, then he could say this and you wouldn't have an issue with it. Even though he's still writing books as a clinical psychologist, speaking, he has a reputation as a clinical psychologist, taught at Harvard, was teaching in the U.S. If he were to, that would solve the issue. If he just put that in his Twitter bio, that just shows how silly all this logic is.
It is silly, and it's actually a very small thing. It's just that what's happening to him is a very small thing.
Why would that be a concern that all psychologists need to appear to be the same? Why is there concern that saying these things does not fit within what psychologists are supposed to believe about climate change?
define what a psychologist is for the purposes of Canadian law and define a code of ethics to enforce that code of ethics.
But to define a code of ethics so broadly as being a dick or being demeaning, that is subjective. Some things are so subjective they cannot be contended with. Of course, there's going to be a subjective component to many guidelines, but that's different than me pointing out the fact that you saying being demeaning to someone, if you can't acknowledge this is bigger than Jordan Peterson, that is problematic because that could be wielded against anyone. It's important to have the protection to be able to push boundaries. That's what tenure originally was about. It was more than just the promise of a job forever. Why do we have tenure for professors? So that they can extend research without the fear of being fired. Because that is where the realm of human endeavor actually makes progress.
Jordan Peterson's not doing research.
Dude, because it's important for professors to be able to conduct research and push the bounds of their field. And often to outside observers, they might not understand that because these people are supposed to be on the forefront of their professions. And when you are on the forefront of your profession, you're going to be pushing the bounds and exploring. And
the question is just whether or not that constitutes being degrading. So because you're a licensed psychologist, you're not allowed to speak ill of anyone in a way that could be
You're not allowed to demean them.
You're not allowed to demean anyone in life. But you can't tell me how you define demean.
In situations where you can be reasonably known to be a registrant.
Wait, well, I can tell you how to define it.
When he's representing the board, basically, he is not allowed to be degrading.
Jordan Peterson has to follow that code of ethics if he wants to be a member of the professional body.
Right.
He doesn't have to be.
Let me ask you.
He can just leave that professional body and say whatever.
Just in Canada, they go on and they're talking about Trump. They're not allowed to demean Donald Trump.
It may be the case that they're not allowed to demean Donald Trump.
Great point. That'd be a great counterpoint, actually, because these condemnations are so politically motivated.
This video is sponsored today by Aura. Legit, Aura allows you to easily check who is tracking your data. There are data brokers who, it's their full-time job. They're sitting there selling people's data, brokering data as data brokers, and this allows you to see where your data is and quickly address the issue and opt out. And using the promo code aura.com/Warren Smith, I'll include that in the description, you can do a free 2-week trial, which you can do a lot in 2 weeks. If you are looking for a piece of technology like this and you want to support the channel, try the free trial. You don't even have to continue on after that. Just give it a swing, see what you think. But that's one thing I need to step up, and that's one thing that Aura helped me realize is security. Your own personal security and your digital security, your data. I'm big on security.